Why do we want so many things? Why do we live feeling envious and jealous of others? Why do I feel so depressed, anxious, and angry, making my life difficult? Perhaps it's because we lack the ability to carve out our own lives. In today's video, we will discuss the secrets of the mind that the ancient Greeks discovered. Please subscribe, like, and set up notifications. What does it mean to have no life of our own in this era of freedom? We live through small narratives such as "I'm always procrastinating." "They didn't reply to my message." "They must dislike me," and bigger ones like "to be happy." "You need a good job," or "a life of self-realization through a career is a great life." These stories form the framework that dictates how we act and think. But we take them for granted, much like fish take water for granted. A few centuries ago, people even idolized a life of leisure, viewing it as the life of nobility. This framework is always subject to change, yet we accept it from birth as if it's the only option. World-renowned psychological illusionist Darren Brown describes this as a lack of authorship. That is, we lack the ability to write our own stories. Darren Brown argues that we can only live independently and find happiness when we claim this authorship for ourselves. But why and how did we start living through stories? And why is finding this authorship so important? The brain works by cooperating among various parts. Here lies the problem: in a fragmented brain and a flood of information. What makes me myself? The answer is the DMN, the default mode network. This network maintains our self-identity by connecting thoughts about the past and future. But why do we need a self? The brain processes billions of different reports explaining the internal and external world every second. Without a quick and efficient algorithm to filter these reports, the brain would be paralyzed. The self-identity or story created by the DMN is that algorithm. Therefore, we don't live in the world as it is, we live in the story our brain creates. From ancient times, scholars have created stories explaining how the world works, such as Plato's theory of forms or Aristotle's theory of the four elements. However, one day these stories became unnecessary because Christianity and God began writing all the stories of life. People no longer questioned the meaning of life. But there was no individual and independent life. In ancient Greece, heavily influenced by Christianity, the modern concept of the individual did not even exist. However, through the Renaissance and Enlightenment, stories about individuals and human reason began to rise. People started to pursue their own lives and happiness, but there was still a big gap: the story. Once the self was freed from a predetermined story, it lost its meaning, and a fragile self emerged. Today's consumerism exploits that weakness relentlessly. Billions of products and advertisements dictate what we should do, where we should live, and what we should wear to be decent people. Previously, religion played that role. The power of advertising lies in providing easy, instant stories. We feel the illusion of freely choosing our individuality within these various instant stories. But in reality, we are just following preset stories. Like anything instant, it has a fatal flaw. Since it is not a story we wrote, as soon as someone else has a better story, ours becomes outdated. So, if we could change the way we interpret the world, the story, wouldn't we be able to live better? Ancient Greek scholars already organized a way to do this over 2,000 years ago: Stoicism. Founded by the philosopher Zeno, Stoicism is often misunderstood as advocating for happiness through renunciation. Similar to Hakuna Matata, but it's quite different. The greatest tool of Stoicism is reframing, or changing perspective. What is luck? Does it really exist? The odds of hitting a hole-in-one in golf are extremely slim. But the odds of the ball landing near a specific spot are equally slim. However, we remember the hole-in-one as incredible luck while countless other golf balls that didn't make it are forgotten. Indeed, luck is something that arises from a story we tell ourselves about the world. Every event can be nothing, good, or bad depending on the story we have. The Stoic philosopher and Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." We attach our interpretations and judgments to the events of the world, often exaggerating their importance or severity beyond the actual event, creating unnecessary worries. The same words can sometimes sound like an insult depending on our judgment. Aurelius teaches that by stopping these judgments, we can free ourselves from negative emotions that harm us. He also said, "Don't add interpretations to first impressions. If someone insults you, what you have heard is that someone insulted you, not that you are harmed. So always follow the first impression and do not add your thoughts." This means we should stop judging things we cannot control and focus only on what we can control. What can we control? It's quite simple. We can control our actions and thoughts, everything else is beyond our control. Stoicism emphasizes not wasting your mind on what you can't control and not suffering over it. This isn't just mental triumph but focusing on what we can do and letting go of harmful judgments. It's like a soccer player focusing on accurate passes and strong shots rather than the outcome of the game itself. The result is not something the player should decide or judge. Life is similar. Life is inevitably full of competitions. If our happiness wavers with every win or loss, and if this misery is due to a melodramatic story we wrote ourselves, no one can always be victorious. The point is not to twist, interpret, or get bogged down in things that spoil us, but to hold the authorship that fills each moment of life with stories for ourselves. Recent studies show that depression is not just due to chemical imbalances in the brain, debunking the serotonin hypothesis. With this belief gone, serotonin-based antidepressants are losing their efficacy. Instead, the idea that negative stories rooted in our brains distort reality like a camera filter is gaining traction. This has led to active research in cognitive reappraisal techniques, mindfulness meditation, and psychedelic treatments that dismantle the existing story and reduce DMN activity. It's fascinating that all these concepts were already discussed by the Stoics in the 3rd century BC, isn't it? In his book Happy, world-renowned psychological illusionist Darren Brown explores how Stoic philosophy can transform our lives. By following the flow of the book, which covers how we view the world, why we are endlessly swayed by our surroundings, and what happens when we lose our authorship, you'll understand the meaning of we narrate and live by that story. Darren Brown dismantles the hopeless story of there's nothing we can do and shows us how to fill the void with our own stories. By doing so, you can experience the essence of Stoic philosophy. Misfortune cannot diminish our happiness. I hope today's video was helpful to you all. Thank you for watching until the end. Have a happy day. This was Ella.